So yeah, and we've got Lisa tonight, who is complete genius, we sort of call her. I think you'll really enjoy some of the stuff she has to share. So yeah, thanks.
And to everybody online, it's going to be starting in just a moment, so get your resources ready and we'll be about to begin.
No pressure, genius.
Here we go.
Thanks. Microphone on. Check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Are we live? We're good to go?
We're live. We're ready to go.
All right. Beautiful people. How are we doing? We good? Yeah? Happy you not clap your hands? No? Awesome. Cool. So I feel really privileged today to get to talk to you guys about a topic that gets brought to my attention a lot. We often get clients coming into the clinic and one of their goals is often, I want to lose weight. And we're going, okay, cool. Not good. So when we sort of get to that point, we're thinking, okay, weight loss. Why hasn't it happened before? And that's really what tonight is all about. To get you guys to think about if you're doing all the right things, i.e. eating the right foods, you're doing a bit of exercise, but the weight's not peeling off, what's the why behind that? So I guess I'm going to top line this whole talk tonight by talking to you about the fact that you need to get healthy to lose weight rather than lose weight to get healthy. And that might sound a little bit bizarre when you think about what doctors say. Oh, you know, your blood pressure's up. You need to lose a little bit of weight to get healthy. And you're thinking, going, if losing weight is part of your cells actually functioning properly, you in theory need to get healthy to lose the weight. Does that make some sense? Cool. Awesome. So tonight we're really going to go into and talk about the why the weight won't budge. So then you can see how that happens, and then you can find the why. So I find the what. So when you find out your why by what things are going on inside your system, it's then easier for you to kind of put that into practice in the what section, because you're kind of understanding that it's not just you and it's not just your willpower. So I'm going to bring you guys to our first page. Have a little flick in. So you've got here your body type questionnaire. And what I've really done is kind of expanded from our macronutrient profile test that we have online, where you can go in and see which sort of ratio of carbs, fats, and proteins should be more suited towards who you are and your metabolic activity and how your body breaks down food. And we're really looking at how your body stores fat and what that tells us about what organ is not working well. So look at the first one. I'm talking about the adrenal profile. Now this particular profile, you can see there are 4 different stages. And we're looking at more of the abdominal fat, the kind of like donut that sits in the front of your belly that you just kind of can't get rid of no matter how lean you get, or it's the extra squishy bit. You're like, where did that come from? It just kind of magically appeared. Looking more sort of at a belly that's sort of more, I'd say more pendulous, kind of like hangs a little bit. It's not that real turgid hard stomach, it's that real soft, squishy, hangy belly. But also looking at kind of the upper abdominal fat and a little bit of the inner thigh. And the reason why this happens is because the adrenal glands, 2 fancy little tiny glands that we talked about in both Chantal's and Sarah's talks, that sit right underneath the old ribs. If you guys want to have a little feel in your backs, find your adrenal glands for me. Cool. So they sit right under there on top of your kidneys. And they sit there because they control our water balance, but they also release a hormone called cortisol, which is your stress hormone, which I probably mentioned a lot of, so keep that in your brains. So we find that there's too much stress inside the system. This is generally where the fat likes to go, because it's thinking, what's the most important parts of my body? Oh, my organs. So I'm going to coat them in fat. I'm going to insulate them and keep them safe, just in case, maybe I run out of energy. There's a famine out there. There's no food in the world. I've got some extra fat to eat it up if I need it. But also, if the lion bites me, then he gets to eat the fat first and my organs get to stay safe. Cool. So these kind of types, I would say, are the ones that come to me that are like, yeah, I love chocolate, but I love chips. But if put them together, I'd be in heaven. Kind of the, if I chose a flavor of ice cream, it would definitely have to be salted caramel. It's that salty, sweet kind of cravings where the body's like, I need instant energy. I need that sugar to pick me up. But it also needs the salt because it's not able to maintain its blood fluid balance. Does that make sense? Cool. So these people are also a little bit kind of, I guess, puffy as well. You find they retain a little bit extra fluid inside their system because your body just can't regulate that fluid balance. The thyroid type. So the thyroid is a delicious little butterfly gland. Sits up here in your throat. Yeah. So its job is to regulate your metabolism. It speeds things up and it slows things down. Is anybody here in the room, anybody with a thyroid condition like hypothyroidism? Yeah. Hypo. So on that sluggish side, it's kind of that everything feels a bit more slow, not really moving at pace, Find it harder to lose weight? Yeah, so that's really what the thyroid does. It will speed up your metabolism, your body's ability to break down fuel, or it will slow it down depending on what's going on in its environment. So for these individuals, we often find that they carry their weight all over their body. Generally, you'll find that definition goes, so you'll lose the definition around the wrists, around the ankles, most of that weight around the throat, that kind of like little, what my aunt calls a turkey neck, a gobble gobble, yeah. But you'll find that the fat's generally more squishy as well. It's quite soft fat. These people in particular are generally like, I love carbohydrates. If I ask them for their favorite food, they would something like bread, potatoes, something that's really starchy, pasta is another one. But they generally will find that they get quite cold or quite hot and have really a poor inability to regulate their temperature. So maybe they're the kind of people that might want to wear socks to bed, or they do the whole full pajama kit, and you're like, you bring all that to bed? Really? Change over. Next page. Bring. All right, so you have the ovarian type. So this one more relates towards females. So we're talking about hormonal imbalance here. I'm not just talking about estrogen dominance, where there's more estrogen than progesterone in the system. I'm talking about estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone being just completely out of kilter. So 3 major sex hormones not playing ball the way they should. The tango is just not working. So often we find for these women that there's more fat stored around the hips and the lower belly, which makes sense in terms of where's your womb? Where does baby go and live? Down there, so you need to have more fat around there to keep baby nourished. For these women, I generally find their cravings come from things that are creamy and delicious. And that can be either a sign of estrogen not being enough in the body and not enough estrogen, body's craving those creamy things to help pick it up, or you've got too much of it and your body's trying to fill those receptors for estrogen inside your system. Cool. Often you'll find with these types, generally, that we find symptoms of PMS, PMT, hormonal imbalance, periods that aren't between, I would say, 5 and 7 days, changing a tampon no more than every 4 hours, not heavy, not clotted, not painful, not moody. Might sound like a shock, but that's the way a period is supposed to be. It's supposed to arrive every 28 days to 32 days and be like, oh yeah, that period thing, it arrived. Cool, where did it go? Sounds a bit abnormal considering how many women have symptoms of PMS and PMT or hormonal problems, or that time of the month is just not that fun, turn into a monster. So if any of that rings a bell for you, this is where you want to hone in a little bit. Our final type is the liver type. So I'm talking about the old beer belly or the pot belly. For women, it's generally more of a liver roll, that kind of nice little roll of fat that sits underneath your brow line. And for these guys, they generally will crave fat. So if you said KFC, they'd be in. Pork belly, they're in. Cool. So generally more for men, you get that kind of real turgid belly, the kind of belly that you can kind of pat and play the bongo drums on. Yeah. Does anyone know the McDonald's ad where the little girl's sitting beside the truck driver? She turns to him and is like, is your baby gonna be a boy? So that's the kind of belly we're thinking about, yeah? So this is kind of our liver is our major detox organ, and it hides on your right side under your rib. So just under here, and have a little bit of squish around, see if you find any pain, any soreness. Nothing, we're good. No one's squinting, livers are fine, good stuff. Now to note on these, you may be more than one, and that's okay. You might be a liver type combined with the estrogen type. You might be adrenals combined with thyroid. And that's because there'll be more than one organ at play when we're looking at the underlying cause of why the weight won't budge. Does that sound succinct enough? Cool. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So like I said before, today I'm going to talk about the why the weight won't budge, to then tell you how that happens in your body, to then give you the what application you need to do, so you've got a bit of guidance around extra tips and tricks. I'm pulled in this little puzzle piece. I think it's a nice little analogy for understanding the different components of weight loss. And the first thing I want to bring to your table is eating right for you. The one thing we do here at Be Pure is we believe that every single person is individual and unique. And if you ever get the chance to come into clinic and do genetic testing, stool sampling, hormone profiling, I can tell you now I will never see two the same. In fact, if I did see two the same, I wouldn't see the same combination of all 3 tests together the same. So you actually are completely individually unique. So one diet will not fit all. And I'll go on to explain that a little bit more, but it's really about knowing what nourishes you is kind of the point that I'm going to try and hit home with that today. The other point I'm going to hit into this today is really focusing on both your macronutrients, which is your carbs, your fats, and your proteins, just what you hear all about when you read a diet magazine, more carbs, more fats, more proteins, this is good for you, that is bad. I really want you to also take a next step and think about the micronutrients, in the sense that if you don't have your vitamins and minerals inside your system, those macronutrients do not know what to do, and they do not know what to go, because you need all those vitamins and minerals to tell them where to go on your body and how to behave. Does that make sense? They're communicators. Point 2 we're going to go through today, we're going to talk about the delicious hormones I mentioned before, so women's hormones. I'm going to just talk a little bit about both the stress hormones and the sexy hormones. I call them the sexy hormones rather than the sex hormones, because sex is kind of like boy and girl, man, woman. Sexy being the thing that makes you have sex drive, makes you voluptuous, makes you have go-get in life, makes you want to do things, have charisma. Excuse me. We're then going to go through and we are going to talk about the liver and its role in the breakdown of fats and what happens when we have too much sugar in our diet and how that can impact our liver. We're then going to go down and talk about the thyroid gland, the butterfly gland that I mentioned before that controls metabolism. And then we're going to finally bring in the gut and talk about your good bugs and your bad bugs and why they are so very important. They're the friends that live inside you, and I trust you to think of them as friends. They eat what you eat, so what you feed yourself is what they get to eat as well. And then finally, we're going to bring in a component on mindset, because basically I think, therefore I am is probably what comes to mind for me when I think about your mindset and psychology. And for me, knowing that you can get clients in the clinic that are doing all the right things on every single level, but there's something psychological going on for them. We can't fix the physiology by throwing in supplements or changing their foods. It has to come from the mental state. So it really is a full holistic being that we're dealing with today. You guys on board with that? Yeah, cool. All right, so let's flick over the page. Got our puzzle piece. I'm going to start with talking about good old BMI and the scales and why I do not rate them on any level at all. So we're talking about the scales, the things that you hop on, look down at your feet and go, oh, I got heavier, and your heart sinks. You then decide you're going to eat an extra, I don't know, maybe 400 less calories that day, punish yourself in the gym and work your ass off. So when I look at the scales, I think it really only measures someone's self-esteem, because all it tells me is how heavy I am. It doesn't tell me what I'm made of in terms of my composition, and I'll explain it to you in a minute. BMI, for those of you that don't know what it is a body mass index. So that's your height in relationship to your weight. It tells you how heavy you are in relationship to how tall you are. And again, doesn't tell me what's going on with your composition. When we're looking at overall health markers and your body's ability to burn fat, your composition is the most important thing. So you can happily be an extra couple of kgs heavier, but have a better composition and be in a better position overall. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so you see here on our little seesaw, you will see over there to your right, there is a big glob of fat, in case you wonder what that yellow thing was. So looking at fat, and if you go, what's balancing out the other side is water, muscle mass, and a little bit of fat. So exchanging out tissue that is pure fat cell and not metabolically very active, doesn't burn calories, doesn't make you feel good, doesn't give you energy, doesn't lift you up, versus dense muscle tissue that does the exact opposite. Makes you bounce off the walls. And it also helps you burn fat as well. So you kind of end up with a situation where you've got more weight and less ability to burn fat, but you've got the same amount of weight that's more metabolically active and enhances your ability to burn fat. So the reason why this is important is if you have a look at the two delicious people down the bottom there, they both weigh 80 kgs. But what do you notice about them? Yeah, completely different shapes, right? So I'm guessing the dude on the right, I don't know, size medium, yeah? Guy on the left's about a size small, but they weigh the same weight. How is that possible? So that same scenario talking about before with the fat, there is more fat on the person on the right, carrying 35% body fat, an unhealthy amount. And then the person on the left side is carrying more muscle tissue, and that's why they're heavier. The same weight as them, but not the same size. Does that kind of make some aha moments? Yes? Cool. Now, when we're talking about body fat, there are ideals for the human system. And if you would look into the research, they say for women between 20 to 25 is kind of normal. For an athlete, you can go down to as low as 13. Below 13% body fat is generally unsafe for females because you do not have enough fat to make hormones. When you cannot make hormones, in particular estrogen and progesterone, you end up reducing your body's ability to store calcium, which increases your risk of osteoporosis. Osteoporosis means osteo bones, porous bones, so brittle and break. And for me, having worked with eating disorder people, I had a client that was in a position of osteoporosis at age 27, anorexia nervosa, but she had depleted her system so much that she leaned over the couch one day wearing a buttoned shirt and cracked 3 of her ribs. So as much as we don't like periods, and as much as we don't like women's hormones, really important to have for overall health and well-being. So body fat's a good thing for females. For guys, you can go for a healthy range, 15 to 18% is considered optimal in terms of medical terms, but down as low as 5%. Below 5%, they consider that a need for medical monitoring because, again, body fat is too low for brain function. So there is optimal ranges. And if I was to give you everything in life, there is a fine balance. So if anyone here is doing science or stats, there's this lovely normative curve, it's like a bell. The middle is the norm, the happy medium. One end we've got extreme fat loss, and one end we've got extreme fat gain. Both ends of the spectrum will not be healthy. You want to be somewhere in that normative range. Does that make some sense? Okay, cool. So bottom line for this one is ditch the scales. No one really measures your self-esteem, so throw it out the window. Don't worry about it. It's not important. What's important is how you feel inside your clothing, and when you look in the mirror, what you think and how you feel. Yeah? Cool. Let's turn the page. All right, so step number 1, and this is our baseline for everybody who wants to lose weight. Because even though I've talked to you at the beginning about thyroid types and ovarian types and different body shapes, if you're not doing the basics, I can't touch the rest of it. So I need to hit 2 key things with helping someone with weight loss. I need to make sure they're eating whole foods. So they're eating nutrient-dense foods that have all the vitamins and minerals they need to make their cells function optimally. But I also need to make sure they're maintaining their blood sugars. Hence the picture of the macronutrient profiles that we do here at Be Pure. The reason behind these is to decide whether your body breaks down food really quickly. Are you more in that protein spectrum and eating things that need to be broken down slower in your body or take longer to break down or more energy? Or are you more in the I'm kind of needing some quick, fast energy, I burn up fuel pretty quickly, chomp, 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 done, need some water, refurbish it, but I can't break down those things that are more complex. So if we were to take a carbohydrate and break it down, your body would go chomp, 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 chomp. I take a protein, it goes chomp, 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 chomp. If I had another Pac-Man to break down the fats, it would then do that chomp, chomp I just did 4 times. It's a lot more chomping to do. So if your system's not able to do that, you'll find it harder to break down those fats and those proteins. Now, in the clinic, you'll find that there are certain types in those body profiles that will link more to the protein. And to kind of baseline them, I would say they're the ones that need rebuilding. They're the ones that are calling out for the amino acids to make their neurotransmitters work better. They need the protein to make their liver function properly. They need to rebuild some cells. They need to rebuild some of that muscle tissue to make them more metabolically active. So I would say that for anyone that's kind of sitting more in that adrenal fatigue picture, the adrenal profile, this is going to be more you. And you can test it out to see whether it's right. For those that are sitting more in that more acidic, fight and flight, bouncing off the walls 24/7, that would be me. I like bouncing off the walls 24/7. This is me not on coffee, and I talk this fast. You're needing to kind of calm the system down a bit more, but also you're needing to focus on things that are easier to digest because the energy is diverted elsewhere. The gastric chain's like, yeah, no, you're on the go, busy, 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 busy. If you give me easier fuel to break down, I'll be okay. So far, so good? Questions? Cool. Wicked. So you'll notice that all 3 of these pyramids are somewhat very similar in the sense that they all have greens at the bottom. So the primary reason why I've got them there is they're focusing on a plant-based diet that you add protein to. Does that make sense? Cool. So when we're looking at a plant-based diet, the reason we're focusing on plant matter is because it contains a lot of our vitamins and minerals. It's the most nutrient dense, but we don't exclude the proteins because they're also very nutrient dense, but just needed in smaller amounts. So my takeaway from this one would be that about 70% of your plate should come from plant-based matter, and then to have the extra bit of protein on top. Cool. Awesome. So the other thing that I will talk to you guys about here is food. So I don't like to think of there's food and then real food. There's just food. So I want to get you guys to think about the fact that even though there may be things that are in a supermarket that are considered edible, they're not food. And the reason why I said that they're not food and I wouldn't class them as food is because the definition of food is that it is a nourishing source that helps sustain human life. So if you think about going into the supermarket and buying, for example, gummy bears, straight glucose. And we think about how the human body functions, it does need those macronutrients. It needs that sugar, but it doesn't know what to do with that sugar if it doesn't have its vitamins and its minerals. So take that a step further. If you can imagine your body as being like a car, your carbohydrates, your fats and your proteins are the fuel that goes in your vehicle, yeah, the gas. Can't run without that. But there's no point in having gas in your car if you haven't got your radiator fuel and you haven't got your oil. So those two key things are your vitamins and your minerals. Without those, the car blows up. So really, when I go into the supermarket, I always think, what can I buy that's going to give me more bang for my buck? Yeah, and I'm not talking about a bargain. I'm not talking about, oh, I can buy 2 for $1 over there of those chocolate bars, or I can buy 3 loaves of bread for $4. I'm talking about what I purchase, how much nutrients am I getting out of that? How much bang for my buck am I getting? How much nourishment is that going to give me? Does that kind of add up? Cool. So the easiest way to do that is to shop around the supermarket and to ignore the aisles unless you're going to find some coconut oil or maybe a jar of peanut butter. But generally what you find on the outskirts of the supermarket are the things that are going to perish first and the things that are most nutrient dense and came from nature. Cool. So the reason why I'm really focusing on you guys doing the kind of nutrient dense stuff and balancing out your blood sugars is because of this picture at the bottom. You see the red line, how the blood sugar goes up and the blood sugar goes down. So if you can imagine this being a roller coaster inside your body, how does your body feel on a roller coaster? Yeah, pretty sick, yeah. So you're gonna go up and you're gonna go down, you're gonna get excitement, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed coming down. Yeah, so it's not that good for the body since it stresses it out. The other thing I'm gonna highlight in this picture for you guys is that red line is not just you eating something that's gonna make your blood sugar spike and go down. When I say spike and go down, I'm talking about things that we call high glycemic. So they create a big spike in blood sugar before it troughs down. But not eating will do this as well. If you choose not to eat, your body will release a stress hormone. It's like, oh, I haven't got any sugar in my blood, can't make energy. Let's release some cortisol to shove some of our muscle sugar into our bloodstream. And if you don't do anything, i.e. you've been sitting there not eating anything at your desk and your body's like, I'm kind of hungry, but like, no, I can't eat anything. It's going to make me gain weight. You then stress your body out. That muscle sugar goes into your bloodstream. Your body will then go, oh, well, you're not burning it, so I'm just going to like shove it into your fat cells. So you end up breaking down and storing fat. Does that make some sense? Similar effect with coffee. So for those of you that kind of hit that 4 p.m. in the afternoon, it's like, oh, feeling a bit sluggish. Wait, I need a snack. I'm not going to have a snack. I'm going to go have a coffee. There's less calories in that. Reach for the long black. Same effect. You're not doing yourself any favors because you're spiking that blood sugar and dropping it down. You're better off to go and grab an apple or to go and grab some nuts or go and grab a nice nourishing snack to pick your energy up. Or some miso soup. Who knows? Any questions on that one so far? Let's turn the page. All right, next component, we're going to talk about delicious hormones and the difference between men and women. Now, the reason why I bring this to the table is quite commonly you'll find for men, if they change their diet, they get the chance to lose weight pretty quickly. And the reason for that is because guys are pretty simple. Their hormone levels are the same day in and day out, mostly. There is the odd kind of menopause sort of, I think he's having his period moments, but generally men are pretty straightforward when it comes to weight loss, yeah? For women, we fluctuate across our entire month. So you have different hormones at play across every single day, which makes the weight loss battle pretty interesting in the sense that each of the hormones plays a different role in your body's ability to regulate its blood sugar that I was talking about before. And the reason why this is if we were to take, I guess, the human race and put it into extreme conditions where we maybe weren't going to survive, only 1/2 of the species really needs to get through because we're the ones that carry the babies for the next generation. So sadly for women, but also beneficial for women, is that we are more resistant to dieting because it looks like a famine. And our body goes, if anyone's going to survive this famine, it's going to be you because you're going to carry on my generation and make this race go into the next years after. So for women, we're really looking at a lesser response, and to kind of highlight that for you, if I was to give a female and a male a 20% deficit in the calorie intake, you'd find that the man would lose more weight than the female. If I was to give a male and a female the same workout, the female would have to work 25 to 35% harder to get the same calorie burn. So it's a massive difference when it comes to the sexes. We're not built the same, therefore we're not meant to train the same, we're not meant to eat the same. If you guys go down to the bottom page before I go into talking about the lovely period cycle there and hormone transitions, so I want to really highlight that for you guys, that cortisol has a top-down effect on all of your hormones. So cortisol is our stress hormone, but it's also our survival hormone. So if your body is under a state of stress, it will choose to make more cortisol over making any of your sex hormones. And the reason for that is because when it's in a famine, it doesn't really want to think about getting pregnant. It's kind of like, yeah, we're running from a lion. I don't really fancy carrying a watermelon as we do this. It might not be best for my survival. Yeah? Or we're in a famine. Don't really want to try and grow a baby when I have no nutrients coming in, because it's going to suck at least 1,000 milligrams of iron out of my system across the whole 9 months. Yeah? So your body wants to be in a state where it's calm and it's relaxed and happy. So bringing you back to this lovely cycle we have up top. I've brought this in to kind of talk about for women why there are certain parts of the month where you have more control of your food and other parts of the month where you're like, I give up. I just want chocolate. Please save me. So if you look at the first part of the month, we're going to go across from day 1 all the way to day 28. Is when you're bleeding, and it's generally when women kind of have lower energy. You might be craving more sort of carby-based foods, and it's kind of to give you that extra lift through your menstruation. Or you may find for some females that they crave more meat because they're losing iron. It's during this part of the month up until day 14 when your body has ovulation, when it releases an egg, that your body is most insulin sensitive, and it actually has most capacity for output for exercise. So you might find for the first 14 days of your cycle that you actually get really good results in the gym, that you can eat carbohydrates and not really feel any different in terms of your weight and your body shape. Your body will tend to probably crave them less in that time because your body is more responsive to a hormone called insulin, which is the hormone that helps shuttle sugars into your cells. Once you reach your middle of your cycle, where the ovaries release an egg, progesterone skyrockets to the top, and that's because of when the egg's released, it leaves behind a little spongy thing we call the corpus luteum, and that pushes your progesterone up. But progesterone makes the body less insulin sensitive. So it's during this part of the month that you have less workout intensity output, but you probably want to crave carbohydrates even though you should be eating a lower carb diet at that part of the month. It also explains why women kind of fluctuate in terms of their weight. So if you're craving carbohydrates in the second part of your month and your progesterone is higher, where sugar goes, water follows. So you're going to retain more fluid, and that's generally that kind of pre-period, I feel really ugh in my clothing, I've got too much fluid on board sensation. What else can I tell you guys? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions on that?
If you're on the pill, how does that change that kind of monthly?
Yeah, so
as far as how you respond to fitness and carbohydrates and that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So there are actually some athletes that will manipulate their cycle by using the OCP, the oral contraceptive pill. And that's because if you see that little green line in the middle of your cycle, guys, that day 14, there's a little peak in testosterone where it goes bloop, bloop. And that's actually when you're at your strongest. So the day you ovulate is probably your best day to try and hit a PB in the gym where you're going to lift crazy heavy or do the fastest workout of your life. And there are some athletes that will start their OCP to have that day 14 on the day of their competition. When it comes to the oral contraceptive, though, there are so many of them. So you've got progesterone only, you've got estrogen only, and within those, you've got different types of progesterone synthetics. Some of them are sort of androgenic, so they promote more male hormones. Some of them are estrogenic, they promote more female hormones, so they're more of sexy sort of voluptuousness in females, and then others are sort of more progesterone promoting. So depending on what mechanism they use and what receptor they're targeting to help change that cycle function will change the way you respond. But they've proven that the ones that are more sort of promoting more androgen-based progesterone are the ones that store the most weight in the body. So maybe looking at your oral contraceptive form that you're having can be a big change for women in terms of weight loss, because some of them definitely drive weight gain more than others. Another one would be the Depo-Provera. That's another one that causes a lot of weight gain as well. Cool. Yeah, go.
What about if you were going?
Yeah, so for menopausal women, as the body decreases its hormones in its system, it loses its ability to oxidize fat. So as you find for menopausal women, eating sort of more of a lower carbohydrate diet actually serves them better across their entire month. So as your body transitions out of it, depending on whether it's like once every 3 months, once every 6 months, but generally keeping that insulin more stable because you haven't got those hormones to regulate it is a better thing. Cool. Also, if you're looking for more blood sugar regulation, apple cider vinegar is amazing for that. And I think Sarah talked about that in her talk about sugar stress and all the rest. But apple cider vinegar really helps your body shuttle fat into your liver and just makes your body sort of more stable in terms of its blood sugars. Let's turn the page, shall we? We had enough on hormones? No more hormonies? All right, so we're going to move into your delicious liver. Yum, 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 yum. Okay, so this lovely organ, its main job is responsible for detoxification. So it excretes toxins from your system. What do you guys think of when I say toxins? Alcohol, yep. Bad stuff, all the bad stuff, yep. Drugs, alcohol, anything else come to mind? Caffeine, yep. Another liver loader, definitely. Medication, another one that loads the liver, has to get cleared to the liver. So these are all what we call external sources of toxins. There are also ones your body makes itself. So every time a bacterial cell inside your gut dies, pops itself open, it releases toxins. Those toxins then go to your liver to be processed to be excreted. Hormones, your body will also use your liver to excrete those. So your liver's constantly cranking. It's constantly working all the time, trying to pull things out of your system. And when it's not working, the body will try and store toxins the one way it knows how, and that's in a storehouse where it's safe and it's not going to get into its bloodstream, and that would be via your fat stores. So generally you find with people that are more toxic, they will retain more fat to try and hold that in place somewhere, so it keeps it out of metabolically active tissue. Cool, so I'm going to kind of go through a bit of a story for you guys today in terms of talking about two common things that kind of, I guess, are plaguing society a bit, and that's the non-fatty alcohol liver disease. And it's basically a situation where, because of poor diet, and they've linked it more so to what they call insulin resistance or poor blood sugar regulation than anything else, that the liver starts to accumulate fat in it. So as the body's blood sugars go crazy, insulin keeps getting spiked, trying to shuttle it into cells because it's actually damaging for the bloodstream. It starts to damage tissues. It runs around and makes crazy chaos. And when your body's like, yeah, I've heard this insulin story too much, the body's crying wolf, it stops listening to it. And that's what we call insulin resistance. The cells are no longer responsive to insulin, doesn't know what to do with the blood sugar, just shuttles it away. When that happens, the liver will increase its output of making fat, but it will also decrease its breakdown of fat. So we end up with cells inside your liver that get congested with fat. As those fats stay there over time, they start to degrade. They're quite volatile. So they'll start to become a different kind of fat that's more toxic. That then will make those cells inside your liver toxic, and they will die. And then we end up with dead liver cells. Right? You can't live without your liver, so you want to love it lots. Yeah? So two of the bigger drivers for this is alcohol and sugar, or not having stable blood sugars. So again, going back to making sure you're eating right for your macronutrient type to help maintain that liver. Are there any questions on that? Yeah, Alex.
How would you say that you support like good liver function? Like if it wasn't that great, like how would you recommend improving it?
Definitely.
You can do to eat?
There's tons you can do. So one of the biggest things that we promote in the clinic is getting clients to go and buy liver-loving herbs. They have in tea forms. I think Storm in India, one of the teas you guys may have had tonight, they make a lovely detox tea. But anything that's bitter and sour is going to be good for your liver. So all your green leafy things are going to be delicious for your liver. They like that kind of stuff. And just really heading back to that whole foods diet, taking a break from alcohol, taking a break from caffeine, focusing on your water intake, giving it a nice good flush. The other thing I'd say to you guys is don't collect protein. Every single one of your pathways in your liver needs amino acids, which are your building blocks of all your proteins. So we here at Be Pure, when we do a detox with somebody, put them on more of a protein vegetable diet than a fasting juice or just eat vegetables diet, because we realize that the liver needs those amino acids to make certain pathways work optimally, and that's what we're chasing is optimal function. Does that kind of answer it? Cool. Wicked. Anything else you guys want to ask? Cool. So my last point I'm going to give to you is on the alcohol, because I know it is such a big part of New Zealand culture. Alcohol, when you break it down on the level, turns into a substance called acetaldehyde. When I say the word aldehyde, does any other word come to mind? Formaldehyde, yeah. So another aldehyde. And what does formaldehyde do? Yeah, preserves bodies and lines asbestos rooms. It's pretty toxic stuff. So if you think about going on a weekend binge and having, you know, good 12, 15 beersies, or some people doing it daily, you're constantly putting that level of toxicity through your organs. Now, this body here that I have is the only home I will ever actually own. I might go and buy a house, but I don't actually ever really own it. It's just an exchange of cash, and the government can come along tomorrow and take it away from me. This is the only thing I really own. So I want you to think about this being your home that you need to clean, you need to look after, you need to nourish, you need to decorate, because you only get one. And that's kind of the biggest point for me when it comes to looking at alcohol intake. I'm not saying it has to go out the window, like all the bars in Ponsonby need to shut shop, go away, but just minimizing it as much as you can is a good thing. You know, have the odd glass here and there, but just don't go crazy. Let's turn the page. You guys have a nice picture of the old thyroid glands. This is the butterfly gland that I was talking about before, and it controls your metabolism. So on top of him is a lovely little gland inside your brain. We call him the pituitary. He releases the hormone called the thyroid stimulating hormone, shortened to TSH, and that tells your thyroid, hey buddy, wake up, let's get active. We're gonna go do some stuff. Your thyroid then goes, okay, I'm gonna make some thyroid hormones, T4 being the first one it decides to make, and T4 is largely inactive, doesn't really do much to tissues. Kind of travels in the system until it's converted either in the gut or the liver into T3, which is your active form of thyroid hormone. You will see beside the T3, there's a reverse T3. So when I say reverse, it does the reverse job. It slows things down. But they both want to hit the same receptor or the same car park. So it's two cars competing for one car park. Yeah? You with me so far? Cool. Depending on what you do with your body will decide whether the slow down car gets into your garage or whether the speed up car gets into the garage. So we're looking at things that are going to increase the production of the slow down car: stress, trauma, low levels of cortisol. I've been crazy stressed and now I have no energy at all. I've given it all away. I've stolen it all from the future. A low calorie diet. So calorie restriction or starvation will actually slow down your thyroid. So it inhibits you from losing weight because you're not eating enough. Inflammation. Toxins, that poor liver. Infections. So when I say infections, I'm talking about gut pathogens. If you have any gastric symptoms where there's gas or bloating, there's bound to be a gut pathogen hiding in there somewhere, and that will be inhibiting this from working well as well. Liver and kidney dysfunction. So that fatty alcohol liver disease I was talking about before. You need to knock them on the head. Kidney dysfunction. Dehydration can do that alone. Certain medications will also slow it down as well, depending on its mechanism inside the body. Another key thing is looking at your nutrient levels. So poor iron levels is another big one for thyroid function, because your body needs it to transport it around the system. Cool. So that's kind of like our basic mechanism. But then if we're looking at enhancing this overall system, yeah, so increasing our levels of T4 to make more T3, that kind of active form of that thyroid hormone, we need to have on the list of vitamins and minerals, just to check, selenium, the stuff you find in large quantities in Brazil nuts. Daily Brazil nuts, people, awesome for you. Iodine, seaweed. We love seaweed. Amazing for the thyroid gland. If thyroid is your thing, a daily dose of seaweed will do you wonders. It also contains tyrosine as well, which is really key for that iodine locking into that thyroid gland. And that actually comes in seaweed as well. So it's a double whammy, double bang for your buck. Zinc, which you find in most of our animal protein foods, especially high in zinc. If you like, so if you're trying oysters, if you like oysters, go for gold. I think they taste like snot, but you're more than welcome to eat them. They're great. You need your vitamin E, you need your B2, your B3, and your vitamin C. So there's quite a lot to go into there just to get your body to really get that thyroid cranking. So if you think about that kind of scenario I was talking about before, where we're talking about your macronutrients versus your micronutrients, the little ones matter more. They're the ones that tell things to go places and speed things up and slow them down. They're what we call catalysts inside the body. They make reactions happen faster. Without them, Your cells are literally sitting there, kind of like do 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 do, waiting for magnesium. No, it's not coming. Cool. I'm just gonna sit here. They're literally waiting on a bus stop for the bus to come, and the bus is just not coming because you're not putting it in. Cool. The final thing I'm going to mention these guys, if you're looking down, more of the nutrients is down the very bottom. Factors that improve cellular sensitivity to thyroid hormones. So like all hormones that are produced in the body, there's always a receptor that wants to grab onto it. But if that receptor is like not listening, it's not online, it's like, I'm just not going to hear this today. No matter how much you have of that hormone in your system, it's just not going to listen. It's not going to play ball. So down there, we're looking at vitamin A, the exercise. So we say that exercise boosts your metabolism. This is one of the reasons why. It helps your body be more receptive to your thyroid hormones. Any questions on that one? Yeah.
How do you increase, or what would you do to increase your TSH?
The thyroid stimulating hormone. So generally we will find in the body when TSH goes down, it's because your T3 and T4 are too high. So there's a feedback loop towards the pituitary in the brain saying, oh, I already have too much of this. I don't want to make any more. When it comes to thyroid dysfunction, the biggest things that I would say you could do in terms of helping yourself is cut out grains. If it's more of an autoimmune disease, that would be a non-negotiable. I would say that it's probably something that needs to go because of the impact of grains on the thyroid itself. The other thing is to really look at gut function. There's a massive link between gut dysbiosis and thyroid dysfunction for a lot of people. And there's quite a bit of research coming out proving that Hashimoto's has a really strong link in terms of autoimmunity to certain pathogens. So really looking at the whole system as one. But your baselines would be amazing as well in terms of the whole foods, focusing on gut and getting those thyroid-loving nutrients in. Cool. Wicked. Any other questions around the lovely little butterfly gland? No, how do we have time, team? We okay? Which means I have 20 minutes. Okay, cool. I didn't do maths at school, guys. Come on. I was too busy geeking out on this fun stuff. All right, so last thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is the gut, the good old belly. So when I talk about the gut, I'm talking about everything from your mouth all the way to your poo hole, okay? Talking about stuff that goes into your stomach, acid gets added to your stomach, churns your food up, makes it look like mush, we call it chyme. Your body will then drip feed that teaspoon by teaspoon into your small intestine. Sorry, guys. We talk about poo a lot here at Be Pure. It's something that I just am so fluid about talking about. It's an everyday conversation and we get quite excited about talking about stool samples and bugs and bacteria. So I do apologize in advance. It's become my norm. All right, so where was I? Okay, we're talking about food being chewed in your stomach. Okay, cool. So acid swashes it around. Well, we'll start with the basics. You chew your food, preferably to liquid, because there's no teeth past your mouth. Yeah, no teeth anywhere else. Just there. So that's the actual mechanical breakdown. Once it then ranks to your belly, we then add acid to it, and that acid is extremely strong. It is the acid similar to that of a carboxylic acid. So 1 to 2 pH. So the really low end of the spectrum, really high acidity. And we need that acidity to chemically break down our food so that when it reaches our small intestine, it's mostly digested. Yeah? Cool. So it gets drip fed from your stomach when it's been churned around into the small intestine, teaspoon by teaspoon. That's why they say to eat every 4 hours, because it takes about 4 hours to clear it. And that's what we're looking at is energy in, energy through. As it drips feeds it teaspoon by teaspoon, a little bit of bile gets triggered off to be released, and that's the stuff that helps break you down your fats. Your pancreas then goes, oh yeah, I better make some of the enzyme things that break down carbs, fats, and proteins so you can better get into your nutrients. It then has a small intestine where most of our absorption happens of all of our nutrients. So food's broken down, our body's just busy absorbing, gathering all the things that we've just eaten. We'll then hit your end of your small intestine and go into your large intestine at the bottom here, where you see the bottom of the, go to the left-hand side of your colon, there's a little tail on the bottom of it. That tail is your appendix. And it's actually the storehouse for your good bacteria. So if we look inside cows that have the old extra stomachs, there's this called a cecum, but it's the same sort of principle, and it's basically this big curly-whirly thing that does this. Big spiral. And it's because they need more bugs to break down all the grass they eat, because it's hard to get to. So you have a little small one. That's basically where they live in. So if you don't have an appendix, your bacteria might find it hard to house themselves, so you may want to focus on having some probiotics every day, all day. Good for you. Once it reaches here, our body then reabsorbs the extra bit of water that it's used to break down our food, gets formed into a little stool, and it gets excreted out the bottom. And we're looking at bowel contractions. We get the bowel and it sort of shuffles things along. And when I say contractions, I mean that your bowel is a muscle. So you know how people often talk about fiber is really good for you? You should have more fiber in your life. The reason why is it's like doing bicep curls in the gym for your muscles. You think about you working out the muscle inside your body. Fiber is basically that workout for your gut. It's like, oh yeah, I'm being stimulated by this fiber thing. I should really like move. We find that people that end up with things like diverticular pockets, constipation, it's because that bowel has become lazy because it hasn't had that workout. So if you're going to spend time going to the gym and looking after your body physically on the outside, why not give it a workout on the inside? That's what I figure. I like workouts. They're fun. Cool. So if you have a look at these, I talked about the pH inside your stomach being a 1 to 2. You'll see here on the diagram, it shows you that in the very top box. You then go down, you hit the small intestine, we hit a pH of 5 to 7, 6 before, and that's because of the release of the bile and the pancreatic activity. So it gets less acidic as it goes in and absorbs, and then gets less acidic again as it gets into the lower part of the small bowel and into the large bowel. And the reason why I'm highlighting that pH is because all of your friends, I'm calling these your friends because they are, that live inside your gut like to live in a certain environment. Yeah, they like their home to be in a certain way. If that pH goes up too much or goes down too much, they will run away. And the best way I can describe it is if you imagine that all these little good bacteria here are like goody two-shoes guys at a frat party in a university. Yeah, you take a goody two-shoes kid and you put them in a bad frat house, they're going to leave pretty quickly. Yeah, so changing that environment for them. Yeah, if you get enough of them to run away, we end up with an overgrowth of the bad frat party inside the house. And then your DNA is like, whoa, wait, where did all my friends go? I've lost them. Yeah? So I'm going to talk about these guys being your good and bad bacteria. Good bacteria for us are anything that has been proven medically to have a benefit for the human system. We call them beneficials because there's a reason why they're beneficial. They figured it out. They're like, oh, that thing does that thing. That thing focuses on that. That makes that particular thing over there. When we're talking about bad bacteria, they're bacteria we've linked to being pathogenic or causing disease inside the system. Yeah. So we're talking about bacteria in general. We call all of your bacteria that are supposed to live in your system commensal. Commensal meaning co, mensal meaning eat. So they co-eat. So what you eat is what they eat. So if you feed them a sad diet, they get sad. Pretty much. Your body gets sad then. The other highlight is these bugs, you've got near on 100 trillion of them in your system. If I was to tell you that you were a ratio of 10 bugs to 1 human cell, I'm going to say that you're more bugs than you are human, which makes you technically alien, which is great. But if you imagine if we alter the DNA of those 10 bugs that are supposed to be there, what does your DNA do? It's freaking out. It's like, where did all my friends go? Those guys over there were telling me to do this and that and this, and now they've all run away. And I've got these other bad guys telling me to do this and this and this. I'm totally confused. And that's part of the mechanism behind autoimmune diseases where the genetic profile is just like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore because my environment's so different. I've got no more friends anymore. Yeah. So if you have a look around at the bacteria on those files, and they're just some that have been highlighted that are beneficial that live in certain parts of the body. So we're looking at keeping these guys alive. We need to feed them fiber and good nutrients, but we also need to replenish them as well with all of your fermented foods. And that's why if you look back at ancient history in most cultures, every culture has a fermented food they've had, whether that's kombucha or sauerkraut or sour milk or kefir. They've had something to replenish that probiotics inside their system. So it's not just a new fad that's coming to the environment. People aren't just going crazy over fermented foods because, you know, why not? It's Ponsonby. They're actually bringing them back because they were there for a reason originally. The other thing I'm going to point out to you guys in terms of the kind of good and bad bacteria is that there's been research showing that for people that are obese, if you take the fecal matter of somebody who is actually a healthy weight and metabolically healthy, transplant it into an obese person, it reverses their obesity. Amazing, right? And the reason why it does that is because of that DNA connection. The bugs are talking to your body, telling you what to do. And I think at the Liggins Institute in Auckland University at the moment, they're doing a study on crapsicles where, it doesn't sound very good, does it? They're taking the fecal samples of healthy teenagers and they're putting it into capsules and giving it to obese teenagers to see what the effect is on their overall weight. Your bugs are so important. They're everywhere. They're not just in your gut. They're in your skin. They're in your organs. They're absolutely everywhere in your system. So they're part of you. Nourish them. Love them. They're not bad. I don't talk, germs are bad for you. Get away from them. Sanitize everything. They're actually good for you. They're part of you. They work together with you. I was talking before about bad bugs. When they pop open, they release toxins. So we find, again, linking back to that liver, looking after gut health is going to look after your liver health. I guess there you go. So the final point I was going to really talk to you guys about with this is really just kind of hitting home on the many things that good bugs do for your system. They will set your point of inflammation inside your body. So they will raise it or they will decrease it depending on their balance. They make food for your brain. So 80% of your serotonin, your happy drug, when it's like la 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 la, life is sunshine and rainbows, is made in your belly by your bugs. No bugs, no happy drugs. Cool. They activate your genes, like I said before, but they also regulate your immunity. And the reason why they do that is because they're the only part of your body apart from your skin that is exposed to the outside world via some holes. So if your immune system was elsewhere, your body wouldn't be able to fight off infection very well. Think about your skin, wraps around your mouth, goes in, down your throat, into your stomach, all the way through your belly. So it's all one system, and that's where most of your microbes live. The last and final point I'm going to talk to you guys about with the gut health is that when we're looking at the role of antibiotics inside life, I would thoroughly encourage you guys, if you have been on an antibiotic, to consider replenishing them with a probiotic. Probiotic stands for pro-life. Biotic means life. So antibiotic, anti-life. So think about if you're 10 cells to 1 cell human, you're killing off a part of you. Not just this thing in your gut, you're killing off a part of you as well, because antibiotics don't just wipe out the bad guy, they wipe out a lot. So whenever you do have to have probiotics, antibiotics, saying like they're not, no go, don't have them. If you do have to have them, make sure you've got probiotics to replenish them. So you ask, yes, we did that?
Do you have to wait until you finish the course of antibiotics to start the probiotics, or can you take them both at the same time but just at different?
It depends on the probiotic. There are certain ones that you can take. Like I think here in clinic we've got one called Prescript Assist that they claim is safe to take with antibiotics. But I would say, from what I've heard from medical doctors, that you can take a probiotic while you're only post having the antibiotic itself, if it's going to be more like a beneficial, just in case it inhibits its ability to do its job. Yeah, that's cool. Good question. All right, the final thing we're going to talk about today is your brain. The brain, the center of the chain. Now, we call the gut the second brain, and this is your first brain. But the reason why I'm going to focus in on brain health and that being the way that you think and you feel is because your brain controls your physiology. Yeah? So I'm going to go back to the example of somebody with an eating disorder. If you put an eating disorder patient in front of a meal, they will look at you like you have just put a spider in front of them and asked them to eat it, as if you were somebody who had arachnophobia, a severe fear of spiders. So their physiology is like, oh crap, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You're going to ask me to eat the tarantula, freaking out, right? So they then eat that and their body will have a stress reaction to that. And that's the reason why there's quite a high correlation between eating disorders and IBS symptoms or gastrointestinal dysfunction. Because when your body is in a state of high fight or flight and a high fight or flight constantly, it will divert all of its blood supply away from its gastric chain out into its muscle, ready to run away from the situation at hand. It's like, I ain't got time to think about digesting food, man. We're in a famine, there's a lion behind me or a spider in front of me, I gotta go. Does that make sense? So even though that food that that person was eating was nourishing, and they probably needed it, they're probably well underweight and actually needing the food on board to nourish their brain and look after them, their psychological state and perception of that food makes it not do them well. It doesn't serve them. So I bring that to the table to kind of highlight the fact that a lot of people have fears of certain foods, and you hear in the media, fat is bad, this is good, that is this. Really trusting your body and its ability to help navigate your food is a big thing, but really working on those fears as well. We do get a lot of clients that come into the clinic that are very carb phobic. They're scared of carbohydrates. They're like, make me fat, can't eat them. But there are many benefits to carbs, and one of them is actually that it helps with serotonin production inside your body. So when you have those old like nighttime carb cravings where you're like, I had dinner, but I want chocolate. Yeah. So that's your serotonin levels telling you, I need you to raise me a little bit more so I can convert myself into melatonin to make you sleep. So melatonin is your sleeping hormone. If you don't have enough serotonin, it won't flick into it at nighttime. So that's your body going, can you just like raise the bar a little bit and like give me some couple of squares of chocolate, maybe something kind of sweet and delicious to help raise that mood. So carbohydrates are a good thing, and if you have that kind of craving, I'd encourage you to have more carbohydrates at dinner. So you might want to throw some extra kumara in, or you might want to make sure you're having more carbs towards the end of the day, just to help soothe that neurochemistry. So it's not all about the kind of like weight loss scenario, what's optimal for blood sugars. Any questions on that? I realize I've thrown a bomb of information at you guys, and I've kind of gone through a lot of organs and systems, and it's a little bit overwhelming. Let's move on to the solutions then, yeah? All right, cool, this is a fun part. So, I kind of gave you a lot, and I don't apologize for it. I'm actually quite excited about it, in the sense that I wanted to really highlight tonight for you guys the complexity of the scenario. When it comes to overall weight loss, we are looking at overall function. So everything I've given you here is overall function for health. If there was anything that you could do to start yourself off, page 1, the basics, yeah? Once we go beyond page 1, we then flick into page 2, which is your gut health stuff. Like I said before, if I can't touch your blood sugar regulation, your nutrient profile, how many nutrients are going in, and if I can't touch your gut function, I can't fix anything because I can't get you to absorb the right nutrients and make your cells do what they're supposed to do. And I can't de-stress it by giving it nourishment. Once those 2 things are nailed, I can then go in and be quite picky and be like, okay, you're more of an adrenaline profile, you need this kind of support. Or you're more of an ovarian profile, you need this kind of support. Does that make sense? So have a look at the things on your first page and your second page. If you're not doing those, focus there first. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by this, but I felt like I wasn't doing it justice if I didn't bring all the pieces of the puzzle to the party. Cool, so we'll go to page 1. So again, I've talked about it lots. Going to reiterate again, eating right for your macronutrient type. It's really balancing out those blood sugars. Where possible, follow a food regime that nourishes you. Diets do not work long term. There's a reason why the word is combined with the word die, and then it has a cross on the end of it, like you're putting a stake into the ground, yeah? Does not serve the body. So whenever we're looking at dietary change, it needs to be something that you think that you can maintain long term and are willing to commit to for at least a minimum of 6 months. Because that's what we're looking at. It's making you into a healthy being long term. It's not a fad, it's not a craze. We're not just trying to like get you skinny for 12 weeks, no 12-week challenge. It's about what's going to be good for you until you're 90. How can I help you until you're at that stage where you're like, yeah, Zimmer frame, life's awesome. Yeah? Cool. Take a break from the old caffeine and alcohol. Maybe have it as a weekend treaty, you know, go out with friends. Have a almond latte with cinnamon then. That'd be great. Eat a whole foods diet that's predominantly based on plant matter, with high quality animal protein added to it. When I say high quality, preferably we like free range and organic and made in New Zealand because we make the best meat on the planet. Aim for 70%, aiming for 70% of your plate to be from plant matter, and I'm going to highlight the fact that Budge fries are made from potatoes, but they're not a vegetable. So just want to make sure focusing on those whole foods again. Aiming to shop on the outskirts of the supermarket. Big tick, that's where all the food lives. Not the non-food, the food. Eliminating any sugar from your diet that did not come from nature. I.e. when you eat it, it doesn't come with the extra goodies that nature provided it with. Your fiber, your vitamins, and your minerals, all the nutrients. And if you are eating those delicious lollies from nature like your fruits, limiting them to 1 to 2 a day. If you're an average person, if you're an athlete, you may need more than that. Yeah, because remember they are nature's lollies. They're designed to be seasonal, come and go, and our body needs the extra pick-me-up or is more active during the summertime rather than hibernation during the wintertime. Increasing your vegetable intake. An easy way to do this is to think about eating all of the rainbow every day. Something red, something purple, something green, something yellow, something orange. And try and throw it into your day and create a bit of colour. Increasing your water intake. So giving you guys a little calculation there. You can times your own body weight by 0.033. Lovely arbitrary number, but it gives you a rough estimate of how many litres per day your body needs to help flush toxins from it, but also make your body function optimally. So your body is sort of 70%-ish water, and a large part of our reactions in our body that make our metabolism speed up are hydrolysis reaction. Hydro, water required to make these metabolic reactions happen. Cool. Getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night. Now, I'm focusing on this because when you are asleep is the only time that your brain can clear metabolic waste. Every other part of your body has a delicious thing called your lymphatic system, and it drains toxins through your system all day, every day. Wonderful thing. But it stops here. It doesn't go up to your brain, because your brain's a very special part of the body. And at nighttime, your brain basically does a whole bunch of chemical changes and enables the excretion of any metabolic waste up there to come out. If you don't get that adequate sleep for your body, you end up with accumulation of that junk inside your brain, junky thinking processes, junky control of the body. Does that make sense? So sleep is your friend. De-stress and support your adrenaline glands. So I'm talking about thinking about if you are fatigued or you are a go, go, go person. I'm not saying quit your job. Just support yourself. Engage in things like doing restorative yoga. You know, go in and go for a walk outside rather than going to the gym and doing a crazy HIIT class. Maybe you might want to come in and get one of our adrenal generators and do some adrenal support, some plug-and-play nutrition where you feed the adrenal glands the exact meal that it likes. Just really thinking about what's stressing you out. Is it the way you're thinking? Is it something you're doing? Is it some sort of demand in your life? And rather than trying to eliminate that stressor, thinking about, well, can I eliminate it as part one? But B, if I can't, what can I do to help myself cope with that better? Cool. You can go and visit B at yoga. Do a class with her. Finally, my last thing is to tell you that I'm not going to tell you to do anything with measuring cups or scales. No calorie counting. You carry your measuring cups with you in your hands, and they're specific to you based on your height and your weight. So as you get bigger or smaller, your hands grow with you, yeah? So I'm going to tell you that this round palm is your steak, and that's how thick it is. So I'm probably going to eat a nice little eye fillet, yeah? It's probably going to have massive sirloin. The second part, we go up to the old knuckles. That would be your chicken. So it's about a chicken breast or more, depending on how much you're going to be having. And then the final one is your fish. It's the whole hand, yeah? So it's quite a bit of fish. It's a good serving size, yeah? Carbohydrates, fist per meal. Yeah, so it looks about tennis ballish. That's about it right for me. Fat, gonna be your whole thumb. Yeah. And then vegetables, you get 2 of them. Yeah, so look at your plate, that's 2 fists of veggies, 1 fist of carbohydrate, a palm of protein, a thumb of fat. It's a decent feed. It's a good food, but I didn't measure any of it. So it means that I can go out for dinner and be like, oh yeah, that's about a palm size. Yeah, I'm eating right for me, cool. I'm eating enough for my own body. Yeah? Easy, simple solution. All right, we'll go through the gut stuff. Gut function, top line I've given you guys there is all disease begins in the gut. And that comes from a guy called Hippocrates, who is considered the forefather of medicine. He's the guy who started medical institutes back in the day. He was like, right, these doctors need education and an environment that's together. Let's go. And without all the scientific testing, that was what he noticed, because medicine before it made institutions or was into a degree was actually observational science. What they saw was what they recorded, and that's basically how naturopathy works these days. So we're going to focus on that first. So again, fiber, the old bicep curls for your belly, making sure that your gut's got that fiber to help things contract and move along, make them move. We're aiming for a colon transit time. So that is the time it takes food to go from mouth to toilet bowl, of 24 to 12 hours. So you've got a decent window. Any more than that, we're looking at constipation. Any less than that, we're looking at an irritated bowel. We want to aim for 30 centimeters of fecal matter. You don't really need to get out the ruler, but you can kind of make an estimation on how long it is based on the kind of average centimeter you find in the environment. Eliminating any foods that cause you to have reactions or allergies. If you know that something like dairy gives you a phlegmy mouth or makes you sneeze, I encourage you to see what happens when you avoid it for a while. Testing, something we offer here in the clinic, but getting tested for gut pathogens is a big thing. Quite often we find that clients have a lot of symptoms or are asymptomatic or have something underlying inside their gut that's driving up their inflammation. Chew your food to liquid, big one, no teeth past your mouth. Rebuild your forest of friendly bacteria. So that's all of those delicious, trendy probiotic foods that are coming into our environments. Eat good fat, especially your omega-3s. They increase your good bacteria in your gut. They're anti-inflammatory. Healing the gut lining, so using nutrients like L-glutamine, which is found inside your bone broth, to nourish that gut lining, because if that gut lining is healthy, then food particles that aren't supposed to get through don't get into your bloodstream. and cause havoc. Finally, getting your vitamin D checked. Vitamin D is great to get from the sun, but knowing your levels of vitamin D is really important because it is one of the main nutrients needed to hold the cells of the gut wall together. Without vitamin D, the gut cells become leaky and things get past them. Go in the bone broth, and then finally ensure your zinc levels are in check because it's the main key mineral we need to make our acid, that battery acid we had in our stomach. I think that's all we have time for today. I really encourage you guys to go through and have a look at all the different types. Anything that relates to you, go through and check it out, and feel free to either give us a call in the clinic and have a 15-minute chat about anything you've discovered or want to know more about. But yes, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you for listening. It's been awesome. Great crowd. Well done. Your microphone? Sure.
Sure.
Just for you.
Thanks. Thanks everyone for coming tonight, and if you do have any questions afterwards, we've got some of our consultants here who can help answer some of your questions, because I'm sure a lot of what Lisa said has probably brought a few to mind. Also, if you are keen to keep learning with Be Pure and you want to get into learning more about your body and what's happening for you, Ben has launched his next tour today, The Hormone Secret, and that is going to be an incredible tour. It's based on his last tour. We actually surveyed everybody who came, and of 3,500 women that came along, 80 to 90% of them were experiencing hormone health concerns, which we thought was pretty freaky actually. So Ben's done a whole lot of research into this, and he's got some incredible information to share with you all. Your hormones are something that Lisa loves, and they're something to get really passionate about, especially us women. So yeah, if you're interested in that, head along to the website, and again, please hang around. We've still got some nibbles left over, and love to have a chat to you if you have any questions. And yeah, thanks very much for coming along. Awesome. Did you want to say anything?
I was just say to everybody online, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'd love to hear your feedback on how you've enjoyed these online seminars. So let us know on Facebook, Instagram, let us know what you thought. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye.